Before we get too much farther and into the meat of today's training, I want to give you a tip of the day at the beginning. And just so you know, like as we do the replays, we actually trim that tip of the day off. So if people show up here early or on time, we want to say thank you by giving you a tip of the day that can help you in your business separate from the main training. Yesterday, I had mentioned if you haven't done this already, go get into NavFac's small business office. They have their own supplier portal. And so today's tip of the day is to expand that. We're putting out a new version of the supplier portal. I think we're putting it out either this week. Gus, you can just let me know this week or next week. We're putting out a 2023, January 2023, because we update it often, but a supplier portal directory. And this is a directory of all supplier portals that we're aware of within the federal market. So most of it is large prime businesses. They have supplier portals, and that's where you can register and get found. We've had a customer who put their information in there and then got found within a couple of weeks and got called in, right? I don't know where it ended up going, but even just getting called is a great step forward. But also in this directory are many different agency supplier portals. DSBS, I talk about all the time, is the main supplier portal, SAM.gov and DSBS. They make your small business profile. And that's where buyers go to look for sellers like you. Unless they have their own homegrown solution, they look there first, and then they go up to SAM and DSBS. And so these homegrown solutions, you want to be in them, and many different agencies have them. And as often as we can find them, we put them into this directory. We make it freely available to you. So go find it at www.govconchamber.com. You can find it there. And if I turn my thing off, there's the website, www.govconchamber.com. Go there. I think it's right on the homepage. You can click on it and download it now, or you can wait, and we'll let you know this coming week when we've got a new version out. But that's today's tip of the day as a thank you for showing up early and on time. We really appreciate that. Also, before we get too far into the meat, I just want to say thank you to the sustaining members of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. Without you, we couldn't make this possible. So thank you very much for being a sustaining member. Okay, so let's go ahead and get going into the meat of today's training around helping you win more contracts, right? I mean, I think the title is Tired of Not Winning Federal Contracts, but let's put a positive spin on that. And how can I win more federal contracts? So we're going to get into that. I'm just checking my tech. I think we're good. So many companies put a lot of effort into writing proposals only to lose out to your competitors. I've heard of people companies who have written like 100 proposals in a year, and they're still not winning. And perhaps you've been involved in opportunities that end up getting awarded to your competitors, just like, these ones I'm describing. And more often than not, the reason companies are losing out on proposals submitted to the government is because you didn't deserve to win them in the first place. Right? That's a tough statement to hear, but perhaps they're losing because they didn't deserve to win it in the first place. And I'm not trying to be mean here. What I'm trying to say is they just shouldn't expect to win when they're writing responses in an area that is not their core competency, or they're writing proposals in all different areas of expertise. They should be writing to opportunities in their core competency. They should be writing opportunities in their sweet spot. They should be writing opportunities into what I like to call their slam dunk opportunities. Slam dunk, just to go back to this picture for 1 second, means that ball is going in that basket, right? There's no two ways about it. That opportunity is the basketball, and that player, that company is putting it right down that basket, and he's going to score. And that's what I want for you, is to think that same way. Slam dunk opportunities are ones that you just know are going in. And the more opportunities like that you put into your pipeline, the more chances you're going to have to win. And so in this training, I'm going to help you understand the value of slam dunk opportunities to your entire company's success, and then how you can identify slam dunk opportunities for you. What you need to do internally to your company, not just finding opportunities on SAM.gov, but what do you need to do and think about to identify what a slam dunk opportunity is for you. And then the third thing I'm going to cover is how and why you should communicate your slam dunk opportunities to buyers and teammates, why you should let them know. It's really important that you do. So if you want to start winning more federal contracts, right, taking that ball and putting it right down in the net, do me a favor, put slam dunk opportunities into the chat or comments. Let me know you're along for the ride and you're looking forward to dropping that ball right in the basket every single time with slam dunk opportunities. Go ahead and put that in the chat. And while you're doing that, if you don't know who I am, I'm Neil McDonald. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome you to my daily federal sales training where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years as a small business owner, and since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret, it's just a process. Before we get too far into today's training, help buyers remember who you are. If you haven't done it already, put your company name into the chat with 2 or 3 words that describe your core competency. Later on in the training, actually, I'm going to try to come back through the chat and call out these 2 to 3 words and see if I see them as slam dunk. And so put 2 to 3 words that describe what your company does in the chat. Also, you can tell by the chat, this is a community. So grow your network by engaging with the people in this community, engaging with them on LinkedIn, perhaps then connecting offline. Maybe you're both in San Antonio, you connect for a coffee. You're both going after the Navy. You can talk about opportunities or maybe people in there. This is a community that we're helping you get access to, right? This is a networking opportunity that I provide every single day. And I really want you to take advantage of it. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, etc., thank you. Come over to LinkedIn, connect with me personally, just send me a connection request. And if you're in the GovCon space, I'll definitely accept. But also engage with other people. In LinkedIn, it's the only place that we have, as far as I know, that you can have this engagement, this chatting while I'm doing the training. And so consider coming on over there. And one last thing, if you want to have buyers and teammates learn more about your company, put your company your company website into the chat. Make it easy. You're in the community. If you can put it in there and somebody looks at your core competency, oh, we do this and this, like data security, for example, and then here's your website, maybe they follow it up and you've got the start of a new relationship. You got somebody who might want to come back to you. The other thing is you can never do this too much. By coming to these trainings and putting your information into the chat, you're starting to sink into my head, into other attendees' heads, and into the people who watched the replay. Last year, we had our training was watched over 500,000 times. Right? Many of those people are large private buyers as well. So don't ever hesitate putting your information into the chat. Okay, let's dive into the meat. I want to cover this. We got 23 minutes left to be able to cover the 3 main topics I want to cover. And so let's start with just the value, understanding the value of slam dunk opportunities and understanding why it's so important for you to know your slam dunk opportunities. And so like I talked about a minute ago, a slam dunk opportunity is one you feel like was written for you, right? You understand this. You see an opportunity and you pick it up and you're like, wow, that's for us, right? That's absolutely for us. That's a slam dunk opportunity. But how do you know that? You have to think for a second and prepare you and your company to be able to identify that in SAM or in a forecast or wherever, right? So one of the values of knowing your slam dunk opportunity is that it helps you get seen by others as an expert. You're known for one thing. This company does that thing. And don't worry about FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. If I get known for this thing, they won't sell, I won't be able to sell them this, this, and this. No, that's not how sales works. Sales is you get in the door and then you sell them everything else because they know, like, and trust you now. And you can offer them a second thing that's related and a third thing that's related. And the next thing you know, you're selling them, everything you ever wanted to sell. But the way it begins with a new customer, a new agency, is by knowing, focusing on the one thing, right? These, think about your keywords when I said put in the chat your core competency. So when you think about how it's helping you be seen as an expert, right? People can hear about opportunities and share them with you. If you're known as an expert, and today I'm going to just use an example of data security because it's a customer we were just meeting with earlier this morning in the workshop, but they're data security. And so if you communicate that you're a data security company and you get seen as that expert in there, subject matter expertise around data security, then people out there, both industry and the government, people when they hear about an opportunity, they're going to say, hey, Joe, did you know about this opportunity? And so you'll get opportunities coming to you. And, when you're seen as an expert, it really is this path of people getting to know, like, and trust you. And that expertise, that one thing, is the part that really drives home on the trust. When you have one thing, you talk a lot more about that one thing. And because you're talking a lot more about that one thing, people begin to rely on you to kind of get some information about data security, as an example, right? And so they see you as that expert, and you're strengthening the trust part of know, like, and trust. And people buy from those they know, like, and trust. And this is how you build up the trust, is really being seen as an expert. So that's the first reason that you should value knowing your slam dunk opportunity. The second thing is that it makes it easier to write responses or anything. Think about marketing assets, right? When you have a clear understanding of your slam dunk opportunity, a clear understanding of what you're an expert at, your company is an expert at, the marketing people in your company, or if you outsource it, they can start creating marketing assets much easier for you. When you go to write RFI and RFP responses, you have this ability to really write strong, very technical, proficient, technical resonating responses to the government because you're talking from your area of expertise. Compared to, like I said, if you're trying to talk to everybody's expertise, you're never going to be able to talk as good about what I'm an expert at. But I can talk really well at this. For example, I did pricing all the time in my last company, right? I had to, but I was an expert at SharePoint and I could do pricing. But you'll never see me train you on pricing because that's not my area of expertise. And if I try to talk to that, you'll see it kind of falter or something. So I leave that to the pricing experts. Well, it's the same thing here. You want to know your expertise and then talk to it. And when you write RFIs and RFPs, your response will scream, this company is an expert. And so another way of thinking about it being easier to write, though, is when you write more and more responses to your slam dunk opportunities, because this is your expertise, you're really increasing your reusable content. You can write responses much faster, and you can repeat a lot of the activity to the point where 80% of the response is written already in your material, and you're really focusing on the 20% that's unique to that customer, right? You don't want to just lift and shift, but 80% of it can come in and be massaged really quick. And now it's good for that customer. And then you've got 20% that drives to their challenge. So when you know your slam dunk opportunity and you demonstrate your expertise and you really circle your wagons around your expertise, you're going to be able to have an easier time writing. And so that's the third one. So be an expert, easier to write. Second one. And the third one is you're going to increase your likelihood of winning, which is the whole point of today's training, right? When you focus on knowing your slam dunk opportunity, and when you know your slam dunk opportunity, the value is you're going to start winning more. You're going to write more responses that are completely in your sweet spot, in your slam dunk opportunities. Your capture and business development people are going to have opportunities within the pipeline that are 100% in your sweet spot. And so they can be telling stories all day long about, oh, we did that work over here. We did that work over here. So it makes it easier for them to sell and get in there and have conversations with the government or teammates. And then you'll also have a lot more relevant past performances and stories. If you focus on knowing your slam dunk opportunity and you go after that, then as you get experience within the federal market, as you get past performances as a sub or a prime, they're all going to be related to data security. Remember, that's my example today, right? So I'm a data security company. As I start going after slam dunk opportunities that are in this data security space and I win, now I have many more past performances that are there. Too often I see people have to try to massage a past performance to make it fit. What I'm telling you is go out and get a whole bunch of past performances related to your slam dunk. And that begins, though, with you knowing your slam dunk opportunity. So there's a lot there about making you an expert by knowing what your slam dunk opportunity is. So those 3 points I want you to just pay attention to on the value of knowing your slam dunk opportunity is that it helps you be seen as the expert. It makes it easier for you to write anything, and it increases your likelihood of winning. If that makes sense, put be the expert into the chat. Let me know you're tracking on the value of knowing slam dunk opportunities by putting be the expert into the chat. Okay, so let me move on to my second point that I want to cover today is how to identify your slam dunk opportunities. You're inside. Actually, I saw somebody saying, I see myself currently as a middleman until I can identify my slam dunk opportunities. If you're in a professional services world, you should pick something. And so let's just get started with how can you identify your slam dunk opportunities, right? Because I think even if you are a middleman, by the way, which is a whole different conversation, you're a middleman around something you're familiar with. And I just was working with a customer this morning and I said, what you want to do when you're thinking about your slam dunk opportunities, your core competency, throw all sorts of words up on the whiteboard or wherever and begin to look at keywords that begin to have you come down. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But one core competency is all you want. My last company, it was SharePoint. Today, I'm talking about its data security. One of our customers, it's elevators, right? She started with construction and then she moved on to a couple of other subordinate construction core competencies, as we were talking with her, and then it whittled down to just elevators, right? This core competency is around elevators. You can do that same thing, because once she's in the door with elevators, they're going to say, hey, by the way, can you do this, that, and the other thing? Yes, I can. And so have an idea of your core competency by knowing your keywords. One of the easiest exercises of planning out that core competency and the keyword exercise is to just write all your keywords down on a piece of paper, the whiteboard, et cetera, and begin to see how they come together. If you would like training on this, I have free trainings specifically on how to do keywords and how to go towards your core competency. So go, somebody might put it in the chat, but it's in YouTube. So we have several hundred videos in YouTube around all this topic that I'm talking about, and 2 or 3 of them are related specifically to sinking down. I lost my word there, but coming down on your core competency, your main keyword. Second thing about identifying your slam dunk opportunities and how you can identify them is list out everything you sell. So if you're already in business and you're already selling things, or you think you sell things, list out everything you sell. Talk to your business partners. What else do we sell? Talk to the people in your company. What do you think we sell? Get everybody to write down what you sell. I have a customer, 200 people, so it's a big company. And I did this exercise with like 50 top managers and leaders. What do you think this company sells? And from what they said, I was able to put together just a word list, right? Every word people were talking about, and then began to pull it together saying, this is the commonality. Here's some one-offs. And what it allowed the company to be able to do is to really come down and say, well, okay, this is all the stuff we think we sell. Here's what I want you to do though. Circle one. What's the one thing we're best at? So this company was doing all sorts of IT related stuff, cyber, cloud, data, software development, enterprise architecture, all these different things. But when they really came down to it, cloud, for example, was the very best that they were at. And so that's your core competency. Begin to build your focus around that. Again, you can sell everything else later, but you need to understand your core competency. And so my recommendation for you is to list out everything you sell and then circle the one that you're best at. Really try to figure that out. And the smaller you are, the easier this should be, because you're probably not selling that much. But just what do you think you should sell? What do you want to sell? One other tip on this is that you can always list it out and then say, you know what, let's push this to 2024. Let's push this to 2025. So it's still on your radar, but you're saying it's an out year activity that we're going to do. But for 2023, this is going to be our core competency. So this is where I wanted to pause really quick. I want to go up and look in the chat. At the very beginning of the chat, I was saying, put your core competency. And I just want to shout some out that popped to me as, well, here's one that just says commercial kitchen design and sales, right? That's really specific, commercial kitchens. Could they do other parts of a commercial environment? Perhaps. But Shelly's got commercial kitchens. In my head, it's just like, okay, that's focused. No particular ones, by the way. If I'm cruising down, I just want to find a couple. So let me keep looking here. Director, I'm looking for ones that just pop to me. Here's professional nursing service, healthcare and allied staffing. So they do nursing staffing, healthcare staffing. I see that. And then I'm looking for like one other where they pop. I'm moving. Well, so here's one of my favorite, right? Is SharePoint and Microsoft 365 expert. That's really tight down. Microsoft 365 and SharePoint in particular. And that's what I'm looking for you to do, right? Is to think about all the core words or keywords you can write down. Just pick one. So going back to this, how can you identify slam dunk opportunities? My first tip was know your keywords, right? One core competency. List out what you sell, right? So one exercise is around keywords, just anything related to what you sell. Second thing is, what do you think you sell? So if somebody says, hey, what do you sell? Write all those things down and then circle the one that you think your company does best. The third tip is never rationalize. Never let anybody rationalize what you sell. Go with your gut. And an example is, and this tip is for when you look into SAM and you're trying to decide, is that a slam dunk opportunity for us? When you look at it, you should be able to go with your gut and say, you know what, that's a slam dunk opportunity. That was built for us. If you turn to anybody in your company, and if anybody is having to rationalize it to the rest, it's not a slam dunk opportunity. There's no ifs, ands, or buts on this. If somebody has to rationalize to their colleagues that this is a good fit for the company, it is not a slam dunk opportunity. It might still be an opportunity that you decide to bid on and to go after. That's fine. That's your choice, but it is not a slam dunk opportunity. A slam dunk opportunity is when everybody who picks it up looks at it and goes, that's a winner. That was written for us, right? So keep that in mind. Do me a favor, put into the chat, no rationalization. Good luck with that, right? No rationalization into the chat. If you understand that nobody should be rationalizing an opportunity into the sales pipeline and calling it slam dunk. All right, let's pick up on the last tip that I want to cover here is how and why to communicate your slam dunk opportunities to buyers and teammates. And this is a really important one for making sure that you are traveling closer to slam dunk opportunities. It's a thirsty job. Okay, so how and why to communicate your slam dunk opportunities to teammates. And what I want to start here with is just to talk about if you've identified what your slam dunk opportunity is, what your core competency is, this is what we sell, then you need to communicate it to the people who might be willing to help you, right? There's this line I love to quote about the biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it took place at all. In this thought that maybe these people I've built relationships with and myself, we have an understanding of what my company sells, but they don't really know. Sometimes, for example, somebody will look and go, oh, you're an 8A firm. Let's just throw everything your way, right? You'd want to know about every opportunity. Or other times I'll see two teammate partners connect and one person will just keep throwing Navy opportunities at the other person because that's what they said they were interested in. It's like, well, not every Navy opportunity, right? And so people often feel like they're helping us when they're pushing these unrelated opportunities. I've seen this with companies, in particular 8A firms, because people will look at you and say, you have an 8A company and we want, especially government, we want to be able to help you. Hey, can you take this construction contract? And then the very same company will get somebody else saying, well, we have this IT contract. Can you do this? This is one of the problems I see with 8A companies in particular is that they get helped throughout their 9-year life cycle. And when they get to the end, most of their past performance is different from each other instead of all of it being data security as an example. And so what you want to do is to begin to work with these people and educate them on what you sell, right? I want you to help me. I want that person to help me. I just want you to help me on the things I want. I don't want you to be confused and get me something that you think would be there. Well, I put that on you and me, right? If we're not communicating to the other person exactly what we want, then how can they truly help us? And so what I'm recommending is that you have a meeting with these people they have a relationship with and inform them what you sell. Have a meeting specifically about, hey, I just updated our capability statement. We've got a lot more clarity on what we do. Can I come talk to you about it? Can I take 15, 30 minutes and talk to you about what we're at, what we're doing, where we're at? Yes, we've done these things in the past, but look, this is where we're going. You want to communicate this at a 3rd grade level, right? So simple words about, hey, we do SharePoint migration, SharePoint software development, words at that level. Don't go too jargon heavy when you're trying to educate the people who might help you, who might give you referrals, right? And so you want to have a meeting specifically with them to talk about this and tell them what a good lead is and what a good opportunity is for you. I remember when I started my very first company, I used to go to chambers of commerce because everybody tells you you're supposed to join a chamber of commerce and get in a networking group or something. But I was in a networking group, and what they teach you is that you want to have a hook, right, in the elevator pitch, but you also want to be able to tell another person in your networking group what would make a good lead or a good referral. And we were very specific with each other. If I was a dentist, as an example, hey, Joe, what would make a good referral for me is somebody who lives in the neighborhood and, who you happen to tell, like a colleague, you happen to tell you went to the dentist. They're like, oh, how was it? If they say something like that, say, oh, it was great. You should go visit Dr. Neal, And another good referral for me is, if you see somebody walking around like this, Mo, that's a good referral for me if they live in my neighborhood. Well, you need to be able to provide that same level of clarity to the people who are going to help you, to me, to the other people in this community, to government small business specialists, to people you've built strategic relationships with. Tell them what would make a good lead. Do you even know what would make a good lead for you, right? So figure it out and talk to your colleagues and say, hey, what would make a good lead for us? What is a good opportunity? This is our ideal opportunity. When we go back and you're talking about a slam dunk opportunity and knowing it, That's what I mean when I say know it. If you know what your slam dunk opportunity is, you know what to look for. Now you can use that to communicate to others, saying, hey, a good referral, a good slam dunk opportunity for me looks like this. The last thing is related to how and how to communicate, in particular with these people who are going to help you, buyers or teammates. You want to correct them, and you correct them softly, obviously, right? But after they've been generous enough to give you a referral, don't just take it and run with it, or take it and drop. Come back to them and say, hey, Jane, I really, really, really appreciate you giving me that referral. Can we connect for 5 minutes? Can I just talk to you about how that worked out, et cetera? And then I can go into that meeting and say, Jane, you're awesome. I really appreciate that. But I just want to clarify kind of where we're focused. And going back to that idea of telling people what you sell, it's just saying, we're really specific in the data security. I know I said cybersecurity, but this one's cloud security. It's a little bit outside of our realm, or worse, this one is construction. We're in IT, right? Sometimes people will give you completely unrelated stuff, but just go back to them. And if you can train them, that's sales, is training your customers, training these people who are your advocates, and not in any kind of negative way. I want you to train me to understand what your slam dunk is, right? Jim, I'm looking at Jim Barry, right? And when I think about what his company sells, I keep learning more and more about it because he's in these trainings and he's sharing what his company does. I'm like, okay, if I give a referral, I know what to do. And that's what I want you to do, is just go back to the other person when they give you a referral and correct them if it isn't in your space. They'll be open for that. If they're a good relationship, which they are because they just gave you a referral, then they're going to be open to you sharing some feedback about that referral so they can do even more next time. We like helping other people. And so you helping them help you is a good thing. All right, be clear into the chat. If you understand that you must be clear about what you sell and what a good lead is from buyers and from teammates, right? So be clear into the chat if you understand that whole idea of how and why to communicate your slam dunk opportunities to buyers and teammates. All right, as a recap, today we talked about in this training the value of knowing your slam dunk opportunities. We talked about how you can identify slam dunk opportunities, and then how and why you should communicate your slam dunk opportunities to buyers and teammates that you have relationships with. So here's my tip. Every day I'm trying to give you a tip that you can go and take and do into action items. Here's what I want you to do. Write down all the things that you think your company sells, right? Just no slowing down. Just write down as many words about what you think your company sells. Then pick one, right? Circle it and say, you know what? That's our core competency. That's our thing. If you can drive to that, you'll be able to identify more slam dunk opportunities because you've gone through this exercise to figure out what is a slam dunk opportunity. If you found the training valuable today, do me a favor, throw thanks in for the team and me into the chat. Let us know that you were happy with the training. If you'd like to work with my team and me, we have a business development accelerator workshop. Love to have you in if your company fits the right profile. We tend to work with companies that are $1 million plus. If you'd like to learn more, shoot me a message in LinkedIn messaging. We're actually doing 3 companies for February, and then we're done with it. So let me know if you're interested in. Happy to talk to you. Remember, government contracting, it is not a secret. It is just a process. I'll see you in the next training.